Hello and welcome to my painting stream. Today we're going to do version 3 of the cherry blossom tree. 2 days ago this was version 1 and I like the strength of the tree. I actually like the soft purple background. Light comes down. I enjoy the petals that are falling here. They're abstract, they're subtle. But I didn't feel like we got enough luminosity out of the pink. The pigments that we're using are cadmium red medium and quinacridone magenta for the warms, with the cadmium light for the yellow. But I wanted it to be more intense. So we painted a version 2. Version 2 is this, more painterly, more motion. It was painted about 50% faster. I actually like the green background. Green being a complementary color to pink, and the blue coming around here where the light is, and then using more white and more yellow to convey the sun coming through the branches. There's more petals on the ground, and so I was trying to use complementary colors to pull the pinks out, but the pigments were exactly the same. So I ran a poll on my Instagram asking, do you want a version 3 with the cheater color in it? And people, not one person said no. So we're gonna do a version 3. It's gonna be everything that we learned doing the first 2, the optimized version. So this time all I did was draw the trunk, because if I want the paint to be lighter in some areas, I don't want to have to think about covering up any pencil lines. So version 3, we're going to be using the luminosity of the paper. We're going to use the cheater pigment that I'm going to talk about in a second, and then we're going to use the contrasting darks to make the lights more present, because there is no light without the dark side. So we're gonna set those aside. Similar layout. Bright blue sky. I'm gonna be using more white than this one. Now I'm deciding the background. I like the green background, I'm not gonna lie. I do enjoy this. It's subtle, it's nice, it's soft. So that's going to be the background that we go with, but the sky from the first one, the presence from the first one, but the luminosity of our surprise pigment. Surprise pigment is, the reason why it's a cheater color and it's called a cheater color is because it has fluorescence in it. Now, fluorescents are interesting. They are not light fast. This will degrade and fade in UV exposure, so that's why you don't want to use it and then on some big fancy expensive original painting. What you can do is you can make prints of the painting, and those will never fade. So that would be what I do. I have it just for some fun applications. I use it very sparingly because it will fade. It will fade, and faster than you think, depending on where you have it. People ask if UV glass helps it from fading so quickly. Yeah, it does. It does. Where you put it, if it's in a dark place that never gets any sun at all, that's going to help as well. If you put a UV protectant coating over your painting, that is also going to help. It's just a fun, bright, intense color. The reason why I get the red, fluorescent red, instead of fluorescent pink is because it's more versatile. You'll see you can go pink with this color or purple with this color, but if you were to get the pink version, then it would be a little bit more limited. So I feel like this one has a heavier pigment load. Fun either way. And it's the only fluorescent color I've ever thought to buy, because, you know, when the sunrise comes up and it's that really intense red color that, like, oh my god, how do you paint that color? This is that. Yeah, or at least the easiest way to get something that gives you the impression of that. So that's what we're going to do. We're going to do a pink underpainting. The reference photo is still on the Discord if you're interested, the original reference photo. And the links to the 2 prior streams that I am referencing are in the description of this one. Here we are. The reference photo is digital art, which is why we keep on pushing harder. I like the contrast on the trunk. I think the value of the trunk is going to be darker in this one, because once again the dark will show the light, and that's why all this beaming light around these branches comes through. Let's go for it. I'm going to try to go really light at first because, you know, can't take it back. I'm establishing the shape. Of the blooms right now with this underpainting. This one might go off just a little bit, and that's fine. You may have noticed I have a completely fresh wet palette as well, so that absolutely no dingy water can creep into this situation. And usually that wouldn't bother me. I do like it when things get a little bit more grayed down, for the most part. But here we are in version 3, and I'm playing for keeps on this one. Okay, so, and the camera isn't reading this quite as hot as it really is, and you'll probably see that in the video footage that I put in shorts later, but this is just fluorescent red pigment. There's no white mixed in at all. I'm just using the transparency of water, and we can do that because we're painting on paper, keep in mind. Now I'm going to build up the darks on the tree before I put the sky color in the background in with magenta. Okay, so now that I'm done with the pinks and the magenta, I'm gonna cut in some white spots before I start painting in the blue sky. And you know, there is one thing happening in this reference photo that we haven't tried yet, and that's putting little subtle leaves next to the pinks on the tree. So that's definitely something that can be done. I'm gonna put just a little bit of yellow on our sunspot. Not a lot like last time. Last time it kind of got blown out with yellow. There wasn't enough contrast for it to be convincing, I suppose, is what was going on there. Okay, so far I want to go over things that we are doing right. So we have some big blocks of color, blocks of value here with the addition of the smaller shapes. Similar to what we did in the first painting here, where there's big blocks of color and then some detailed strokes. Everything is looser and lighter, like what we did in our second painting, but it's also done with more purpose. The light is contrasted with some dark colors as well, and it's more restricted to one area. It's more isolated to that one spot, and then but everything still has a more loose feeling to it. So I think that this one is going to be better than the other two. And then we're going to make sure to make the tree part, the bark, the trunk, and the branches darker as well, which is going to be more successful, I imagine. That's going to be at the very end. And right now, I'm going to do the sky, and we're going to stick with just a nice light blue. But usually I would use cerulean blue for the sky and white. I might throw just a tiny bit, because if we're going to cheat, you know, if we're going to do everything we can. I have a little bit of turquoise here, which is a phthalo pigment, which are intense. They're intense. So it's going to be an intense complementary color. But if we're going to go all the way, let's just go all the way. I'll be putting some white in that, and possibly adding some cerulean blue just to kind of tone it down a bit. Going from darker to lighter on the right side. Okay, now I'm going to come up the back side here, the blue-green color, and I am going to mute it a bit. Because I don't want it to pull as hard as all these other bright colors.
Where's my cookies?
Okay, I toned down the blue on the left side here because I felt like it was just it was too intense. I know we were going for bright, but that was a little much. And that far away from the focal point. I'm not quite down. Now I'm going to soften up the edges of the background trees over here. Might even switch to another brush, actually. So we've been doing most of these paintings with this just small flat brush. I'm going to switch over to the filbert, soften up these edges. Okay, now that the green is softened up and there's a little bit of brightness, you can tell now at this point that I've combined the background ideas from the first two. There's a little bit more purple shadow on the left side and then the bright green background trees on the bright side. The pink is showing through, so I'm only going to have to overlap a little bit as far as the petals falling down. But what I'm going to do first, before we do any more petal action, is to add some little tiny leaf shapes. Not a whole ton, but I'm going to do that with a brand new brush. Just a small point brush is going to be fine. Have to use a little bit of white for coverage. They're going to be brighter green on the right side of the tree than on the left, of course. Alright, now the darker version for the left. Alright, I'm digging that. That worked out well. Is it time for the trunk? I think it might be. Alright then. I'm going to mix a color from our darker values. Haven't used ultramarine at all during this whole thing, but I'm going to take ultramarine and magenta. And a little bit of our yellow. Usually I'd be using the gold paint color, but I have not used that at all during this painting. Okay, now I'm going to change over to the script brush for the rest of the details. I lightened up the trunk color just a little bit with our yellow, and then I added a little bit of cadmium red to warm it up. Okay, now I'm gonna start adding some of those detached branches, remembering that they still have to look like they go somewhere in this tree, not another dimension. Might attach some of our little leaves to these little branches. Gonna add a couple more of them that I did in the previous paintings. We're going for different Can't figure out what works and what doesn't if we don't try new things. With intention, though. Okay, I lightened up some branches for that side. Okay. Trying to make this little spot look like not a mistake. I might overlap some little final blossom shapes when we do the petals. Here's some highlights on the branches. Giving that some texture and some dimension. This would be a detail that we didn't do in the previous paintings as well. Like that, that looks good. Also, the other trunks weren't as dark at all, so that would make a big difference. Here are the little petals coming off the tree. I feel like this step gives it a lot of motion. You can also add little light areas next to the branches in different parts. Where it's needed though. Okay, that's looking good. Okay, now the falling blossoms, which is a nice touch. I do enjoy that quite a bit. Start with the lighter ones. And I'm running at a white. I'm definitely running at a clean white. Here. It's amazing how fast you can run out of space on your palette when you're going back and forth and making decisions on the fly and remixing. that color is the shadowed petals. I'm going to soften that line right there. Okay, now for little petal marks. Don't want to do too many. It's starting to get a little bit much. Now for the lighter ones. Okay, I'm liking all of that a lot better. This has a lot more life. Okay, so we're gonna call this done, I think. I think this is done. So now we can compare. I'm gonna do the tape peel here as soon as the stream ends, and I'll post all that content where content appears. This is version 2. And this is version 1. Maybe I should have started like that. This is version 1. It's definitely more muted. Like, I can't even look at it next to the version 3 and 1. But it's nice. Okay. Then version 2. A little bit brighter. But I think having that dark trunk color is super important, because then you go version 3 and it's like, whoa, whoa. So there you go. Cherry blossom tree. I didn't even know if I was going to paint it once. And I painted it 3 times for you guys to show you all the different decisions that you can make when painting something like this, where you're trying to show light and luminosity and color and how different ways to solve these problems. You know, you can't have everything be completely bright. You can't have everything be light. You can't have everything be dark. You're pushing and pulling things around as far as values and intensities to show things to people. So I like to do that closer to the focal point. There's nice contrast there. And I feel like it shows the light. Also, the other addition that we did in the 3rd version that we didn't do in the other 2 was the little green leaves that are on the tree, and I quite enjoy that. So, thank goodness, version 3, most successful version, which is how I would like it. So thank you so much for hanging out, and I hope you enjoyed this progress and progression as we've moved through 3 different paintings. And